Hi, I'm JP O'Connor. Welcome into Elite's Pro Shop in Montreal. Now you've got your EP3 profiler, now it's time to put it to work. As much as we'd like to be ringside with you and your skaters, like we've done with some of our partners, we recognize that setting up a testing protocol might be new to some of you, and we thought creating a video offering some of our suggestions would help ensure that you and your players are taking full advantage of your EP3 and performance profiling. So why don't we get started with this simple process? So as with the game of hockey, this is going to be a collaborative effort between the equipment managers, the skills, maybe the skating coaches, even the assistant coaches or the head coach, and obviously the players. But at first, it's going to take a captain to get things going, and that's you. So let's remember what the goal of performance profiling is. A stock blade that arrives at the pair of skates has approximately a 10-foot mono radius. Now there's nothing wrong with it. It does a lot of things well. In a single radius world though, you're always playing a zero-sum game, meaning if you want to get an advantage on one side, there's an equivalent loss on the other. You want more agility in tight spaces and explosiveness from a dead start? Of course it can be done, but at the expense of stability and top-end speed. Zero-sum game. Performance profiling combines multiple profiles located in strategic areas along the skating surface of the blade, which allows skaters to merge the characteristics on either side of the scale. So at Elite, we've got a wall of profile templates with new ones coming all the time. We're always listening to you. But here at Elite, we divide profiles into two main families, heel glide and center glide. So the heel glide family sees the radius being flattened out from the middle of the blade to the heel. More surface contact means increased stability and a better glide and top speed. The profile at the front of the blade is more rounded to offer agility and explosion. Heel glide profiles aren't limited to two profiles. We've got trios, we've got quads, but all with similar blade geometry. More rounded in the front half of the blade, longer and flatter on the back. Our other family, the center glide family, has a series of flatter radiuses in the middle of the blade to maximize power, glide, and top end speed, while both the toe and the heel sections have more aggressive radiuses. So we don't have to do a deep dive on all the profiles right now. We've created videos, we have a slide deck, and we have a list of all the profiles and their descriptions. We're happy to provide those to you whenever need be. Before you go on the ice with your players, you're going to need to be able to create demo boxes of your own. Now at Elite, we're pretty fortunate. We've got a pretty hefty stock of inventory that we can choose from. But in all likelihood, you're not far away from being able to create your own demo box. So let's remember, the steel doesn't need to be new, and you don't have to have a demo for every template you have. At the end of the season, you can pull a few sets from your used stock, or you can even reuse a set when a player moves into a new pair during the season. So at what we consider the pro level, most teams are running on anywhere from 2 to 12 sets of steel during a season. So creating your initial demo box with 4 or 5 profiles per size of blade that you have in your team shouldn't be overly difficult or time consuming. So for today's on-ice session, we've prepped 5 sets of blades. We have 2 from the heel glide family. We have 2 from the center glide family. We have a no profile stock blade, and there's going to be a 6th blade, which is the blades that are in the player skates. Why don't we move over to the rink? So here we are. We're in the locker room. We're getting closer to the rink. As I mentioned before, we have slide decks and videos that we've created about performance profiling. And ideally, we would have had a chance at this point to grab the players that you're going to do some testing with and give them a broad explanation of what we're trying to do. Is it the end of the world? No, you can still do exactly what you want to do on the ice with them going at it blind, but it's always better to have a baseline understanding. Why don't we move out to the rink? So here we are on the ice finally. Here's how we set the stage. So on the bench right now, we have our test blade box, and we also have a toolkit that we bring. Obviously, having all the tools close by makes it much easier on everybody. And we have our equipment manager for the day, Guillaume, who is here, going to give us a hand. We also have a printed version of our slide deck with descriptions of all the profiles, including the ones that we're going to be trying today. And it's good as it helps the players understand some of the key points that they'll be feeling while doing the testing. This is all a suggestion. This is not something that you have to do necessarily, but we have found that it's a good way to approach profile testing. The one last thing that I think we need to point out is that all of the blades that we have here with us today are all sharpened to the exact same radius of hollow. And it'll be the same radius of hollow that are on the player skates now. It's important to recognize that we're not here to be confused. We're here to talk about blade geometry and not blade sharpening. Let them go on and loosen up in their own blades, the ones that they showed up in. The warm-up shouldn't take very long as the blades they're skating in now feel normal to them. A couple of key points. If you're testing with 1 or 2 players, you got to get them skating and working the entirety of the blade. Looping around while looking at their skates isn't going to get it done. If you've got 4 to 6 skaters, you could have a small area game. Keep the pucks to a minimum though. We've made the error of dropping a crate of pucks on the ice and all the players turn into distracted 7-year-olds trying to hit crossbars. This is a skating session. That needs to be conveyed. So if you're going to get them skating, here's a few patterns that we've used in the past with our pro teams to work the entirety of the blade. So for this particular exercise, you can start at the tops of the circles. You can have a cone at the blue line, a cone at the far blue line, and 2 cones at top circles. Let's take a look at what it looks like. Dynamic start, pivot at the blue line, backwards through the neutral zone, pivot, wide turn, power crossovers, and straight line speed all the way back to the start. Here's another option that you can do that focuses a little bit more on agility. You can start off with 3 cones, first one off to the left-hand side of the circle, second one just past the face-off dot, and the third cone you can put over on the right-hand side, hash. Let's take a look at what it looks like. Forward start, over to the first cone, backwards, recover to the middle, up to the center cone, backwards again, recover to the middle, pivot, forward, out to the right-hand side, recover back to the middle again, power crossovers all the way around the circle, and accelerate through the neutral zone. So in our experience, here's the order that we think works best for testing. First in their own blades, and then we transfer to the stock set. Now, whether you choose heel glide or center glide families after that doesn't matter, but it's best to do both options from a family before changing to the other. You can have the player repeat the skating patterns and they'll feel the differences immediately. Visually, the differences between the blades are almost imperceptible, but the feel between profiles and profile families are enormous. The last set to go back on is the set they started the session with. Performance profiling will be a difference maker for your players, but it's a highly personal choice. And the best way to identify which profile suits you best is to get on the ice and do some testing. So we hope that this video was informative and helps you out. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to help.